Hi, welcome back to Shakespeare's Test Kitchen, episode 4.
Pies, part 2.
What are you doing? Baked coffins.
No judgment. Love that. The origin of the word pie is a little bit mysterious, but it is very likely that it derives from the Latin pica, meaning magpie. Magpies are known for their habit of collecting an assortment of odds and ends for their nests. Similarly, medieval cooks were known for collecting an interesting assortment of odds and ends to stick in their pies.
In Tudor times, it was quite common to entertain the royal court by sticking something interesting in the pie. The most famous of these was a person. Geoffrey Hudson, who jumped out of the pie, presented to King Charles I and Queen Henrietta Maria of England, dressed as a knight. The 18-inch man proceeded to do a little jig on the table.
That is commitment to performance. We've gone soft. I've never been baked into a pie and made to just hang out in an oven until it was my time to perform.
What a snowflake.
Way to go, Jeffrey. An Italian cookbook from 1549 contained a similar kind of recipe. To make pies so that birds may be alive in them and fly out when it is cut up. And this very pie was referred to in a cookbook by John Nutt. The first surprise, though, came shortly before the starter when the guests sat down, unfolded their napkins, and saw songbirds fly out. 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. Historical reference.
The pie was used to preserve meat in medieval Europe. Amazingly, the pastry was actually not eaten.
The pie crust was both the pie pan while you cooked it and basically the Tupperware while you stored it.
These medieval covered pies, coffins as they were called, were made of hard rye flour up to 7 inches thick and wrapped around the meat and baked. And then this could apparently preserve the meat for over a year. I don't believe that.
I don't think it did.
Shakespeare first references these baked coffins in Hamlet. Horatio says, "My lord, I came to see your father's funeral."
I prithee do not mock me, fellow student. I think it was to see my mother's wedding.
Indeed, my lord, it followed hard upon.
Thrift, Horatio. The funeral baked meats did coldly furnish forth the marriage table.
Now, the funeral baked meats refers to the pies that are served at his father's funeral, but also brings to mind the word coffin.
These same coffins of meat would have been offered as cold leftovers at his mother's wedding to his uncle Claudius. Hamlet explains that this would be thrifty, saving them money on the catering.
Titus Andronicus also uses the same double meaning with the word coffin when he describes how he will put the heads of Chiron and Demetrius into a baked pie. "I will grind your bones to dust, and with your blood in it I'll make a paste, and of the paste a coffin I will rear, and make 2 pasties of your shameful heads."
Shakespeare!
I could not be more excited about making pork pies. This is not just any meat. This is pork from Fatapple Farm. Sustainably grown, pastured piggies. It is so good. We're very excited. We have rendered the fat back into a lard, and we have this wonderful pork butt that's going to be so delicious.
Roughly cut the pork into 1/4 inch cubes. We need 2 pounds of it.
2 pounds!
Yay!
Yay! So it's 2 pounds, 8 ounces of the pork fat back.
No, pork butt.
Pork butt.
Don't call me that. How dare you? Now you'll cut 8 ounces of your bacon into 1/4 inch cubes as well.
Add the bacon to the pork.
To the meat, you will add your spices. 3 cloves of garlic, minced, 1 teaspoon of cracked black pepper, 1 teaspoon of sage, 1 teaspoon of rosemary, 2 teaspoons of thyme, 1 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of freshly ground nutmeg. That's good.
Add the dates.
Mix these together, and then we're gonna cover it and set it aside. Ooh. 1 1/2 cup of beautifully rendered lard into 1 1/4 cup boiling water.
It's boiling.
Woo! In a large mixing bowl, we have added 6 cups of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, 10 tablespoons of butter. We're now going to add the melted lard and water to our butter and flour and salt mixture. You know, our last party was great.
Yeah.
But I really feel like this pie needs something special. We could put a person in the pie.
As long as he's tiny and clever.
He'll have to be. Put magpies in the pie.
Explosion of birds says I love you. There must have been occasionally on one of these instances a dead bird or two left in there.
You know there was a dead bird.
Oh look, those flew out, but that one's dead and just laying there. Oh great. How many eyes got pecked out by angry birds after a dinner party?
So once your hot lard mixture has cooled down enough to be safe, you can go ahead and flour your counter and knead it by hand for a few minutes to develop the gluten. That will give your crust strength, so it will be able to stand up and hold your minced meat or your birds or your tiny jolly man.
Or perhaps the heads of 2 horrible rapists.
There you go.
Keep kneading.
We kneaded the dough for between, 5 or 10 minutes.
Somewhere around there.
Until it feels good and stretchy and you've developed that gluten. Now you're going to take your dough and divide it into 6 even hunks.
8.
6.
6.
So you're going to pull off a little bit and reserve that, and that will be the lid.
Boom.
Very satisfying.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Put them in the refrigerator to chill for about 30 minutes.
When you're filling your pork pies, you want to take about a 1/2 cup of the filling and really press it down really firmly into your pork pie. And then the rest of the meat you can layer on more loosely. Don't pack it quite as densely. I love that. Oh, they look so pretty.
Now you need to make a little hole in the top of each pie before you put it in the oven. Mix up an egg and add a little bit of water.
And you're going to put these in an oven that you've preheated to 350 degrees for about an hour. So right before your pies are ready to come out, maybe 5 minutes, you're going to make your gelatin mixture. So you're going to heat your stock until it simmers, and then you'll stir in your gelatin. Oh, they're so pretty. And one of them is inexplicably tiny.
You set those aside for at least an hour.
And the gelatin will firm up, which sounds disgusting, but apparently it makes it quite delicious. So it's 2:15 in the morning. We're going to go to bed.
In the morning, we'll have pork pies.
We're back.
It's the next day. We let them sit overnight, and now we are ready to eat meat pies.
Ooh.
Oh. Cheers.
Oh my gosh. That coffin really keeps all the juices in.
It's a very delicate flavor.
Oh, that's really good. So you can find a complete recipe and list of ingredients below in the description. Thanks for joining us on Shakespeare's Test Kitchen. Please stay tuned for future episodes, including some with some more special guest hosts. Exactly. Bye.